The Boston Celtics, Eastern Conference champions, versus the Dallas Mavericks, the Western Conference champions, both squared up for the 2024 NBA Finals. As Game 1 proceeds to end, the Boston Celtics have a big blowout game win over the Dallas Mavericks, where the Mavs cannot execute outside of Luka Doncic, and the Celtics pretty much executed their game plan with the lead of Kristaps Porzingis. What's up, guys, and welcome back to the MC Show coverage of the 2024 NBA Finals. We are live on Spotify if you have not heard, and we're also live on YouTube. So if you're on Spotify and you're hearing this, please go check out my YouTube channel. It's called the MC channel. Go check that out. And if vice versa on YouTube, go check out my Spotify. And if you're gonna go onto YouTube, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And with Spotify, please also hit the subscribe button, as I will be posting post-game coverage after every single NBA Finals. For this episode and episode 2, we will be on Instagram. So the first two episodes will be covered on Instagram as well. And going forward with Game 3 on, it will be Spotify and YouTube exclusive. So that's the final word I have to say. If this will be on Instagram, both Game 1 and Games 2's post-game coverage. And after that, everything else will be on YouTube and Spotify exclusive only. This game was not very entertaining. It looked entertaining to start the game, but until around when there was around 7 minutes and Porzingis checked into the game. Because Porzingis also made his return this specific game. First game back since Game 4 of the first round against the Miami Heat. As he makes his return, he proceeds to have a huge presence and impact into this team as they have a 23-5 run. And that pretty much sealed Mavs' fate of trying to get this game. And they made things interesting going into the third quarter, where Luka Doncic had an insane quarter where he just went off pretty much. But that did not really matter afterwards, as the Celtics pretty much adjusted and they made shots. And that's the story of this game. The Celtics made around 8 or 9 or 10 more threes than the Dallas Mavericks. A lot of threes were made by the Boston Celtics. As I pull up the statistics to this game, on the Mavs side of things, Kyrie Irving did not have a good game at all. You know, he's in Boston. Boston's going to be Boston. Those guys are not particularly likable. Their fans are not very likable. However, I'm not going to get into that, obviously. But he did not have a particularly good game. 12 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. He shot pretty poor efficiency from the field. Luka Doncic was pretty much the only guy on the Mavs that actually played a pretty solid game, having 30 points and 10 rebounds. He only had 1 assist, that's also a knock, Luka, the Mavs are not going to win if Luka only has 1 assist. He went off. Luka did his job, but however, this wasn't Luka. Obviously, Luka magic happened in the third quarter, but Luka went to the line a lot. And that's the thing with the Mavs. Statistically, the Dallas Mavericks, they only shot 12 free throws. It looked like they shot a lot more free throws than that, and the Celtics shot 13 free throws. But the big thing is that the Celtics made 16 threes, and the Mavs made 7 threes. And that was a lot of those threes came when it was garbage time and the game was out of hand. And obviously, Luka in the third quarter. But yeah, the Celtics pretty much completely dominated boards, rebounds. I know it says 47 rebounds for the Celtics and the Mavs. It looked like the Celtics got a lot more rebounds, specifically the first quarter where the Mavs couldn't really recover. The Celtics just rebounded the ball over and over again. Got a ton of offensive rebounds. It's saying the statistic-wise, they tied for offensive rebounds, but they did not really tie. It felt like the Celtics just crashed the boards better than these guys for sure. A lot, 9 blocks. They blocked a lot of shots. Porzingis, we'll get to Porzingis very soon. Jaylen Brown had a couple of blocks on Kyrie Irving. The Celtics just played a much better game. Even though they had 1 more turnover than the Mavs, they still played a much better game. And, the Mavs had more points in the paint. That did not matter because the Celtics just made all their threes. That's 30 points. With 16 threes, 16 multiplied by 3. That's roughly around 48 points. 48 freaking points. It's not going to cut it. That's primarily not going to cut it. But But there's still like things you can take away from this game if I'm on the Mavs side, things that I can say we can build off of this because it's only game one, you know? We've seen the impossible happen in the NBA Finals. We saw LeBron James come down back down 3-1. We saw the Milwaukee Bucks come down 2-0. We saw the Golden State Warriors be down 2-1. We saw them lose game one against the Celtics on their home floor. We've seen the impossible happen in the NBA Finals multiple times. So this is not over, you know. Game two is going to be very big. Ultimately, no, I predicted the Dallas Mavericks to win this series, and I still have a lot of faith in my prediction as a lot of good things happen. Primarily, Kyrie Irving did not have a good game. He'll bounce back. But the Celtics also made the right adjustment going into this game, you know, blitzing Kyrie Irving, not letting Kyrie get his Kyrie Irving looks. Luka Doncic, there's nothing you can do. You're going to waste your energy trying to defend Luka insanely. So you might as well just blitz Kyrie Irving. Similarly, what the Wolves did to the Phoenix Suns. That's kind of what the Celtics had to do with the Dallas Mavericks. However, I think Luka's a lot better than Kevin Durant. But, you know, in terms of just scoring, like, there's no point. Like, you might as well just guard Kyrie Irving. And they did that. And this for the Celtics side of things, I mean, Jason Tatum did not have the best game scoring-wise, but he pretty much did everything else. I mean, he crashed the ball. I saw him being a big presence on the rebounding side. So for the people that say Jason Tatum had a bad game, he didn't have a bad game. He had a very solid game, I'll say. 42 minutes, 11 rebounds is very, very big, especially for the NBA Finals. You got to crash the boards. You know, Jaylen Brown, I'll talk about this later. Jaylen Brown had a solid game. Porzingis is the one guy I want to talk about because Porzingis, in my opinion, I've always had this opinion since probably the start of the season that Porzingis is the second most important player on the Boston Celtics. And he's quite possibly should have been an all-star over Jaylen Brown, but that's just me. I get Jaylen Brown as better scorer and all this stuff, and just perimeter scoring is much more, and he scores the ball better, I guess. But it's like Porzingis pretty much does everything else more impactful-wise than Jaylen Brown. And Jaylen Brown is pretty much another Jason Tatum, but significantly worse than everything else that Jason Tatum does. You know, there's not one category that Jaylen Brown is better than Tatum at. And I'm not knocking Jaylen Brown this game. He had a very solid game. I mean, he played some pretty good defense this game. However, when I just talk about building a championship team, I don't think Jaylen Brown is the second best player you could say for a championship team. I think that's obviously Tatum because Tatum is a superstar. And then you have Porzingis, who I think is just flat out more impactful than him. Like Porzingis, like he set the tempo of this game when he came off the bench. Like that's the one guy coming into the playoffs I was scared over the Boston Celtics. Aside from Derek White, it was Porzingis. Because Porzingis, like what we saw, like the impact wise he's done all season. Blocking shots, rebounding, just specifically everything, bro. Porzingis just has such a big presence on this team, but it's like, yeah, man, how the hell did they get them? How the hell did they get Porzingis? It's like, I'm just thinking about that. People talk about the Drew Holiday trade, and I talked about that as well when the trade initially happened, but it's like, Porzingis? How did they get Porzingis? Like, they traded away Marcus Smart and just a few picks for Porzingis. Like, that's such a steal. I mean, just Marcus Smart for Porzingis and a few picks. Like, what? Like, how? Like, as much as Marcus Smart was the heart and soul of the Boston Celtics, and he was just a huge fan favorite, and he's a very big hustle player, Porzingis is a much better player than Marcus Smart, like a way better player. Because it's like, I value interior defense over perimeter defense. Like, I like, and this is my problem with the NBA fans as a whole sometimes, you know. They talk about how perimeter defense is more important than interior. That's not the case at all. You know, Michael Jordan obviously won a defensive player of the year, but that kind of overrates Jordan for defense specifically because I see people just put him above other players in terms of best defenders in NBA history. If you want to talk about best perimeter defenders in NBA history, yeah, MJ is up there. But we talk about just flat out importance to defense, that is the big man position. That is like the center position is probably the most important position in the NBA. Still to this day, like people, like it used to be. I mean, it always used to be the thing, and then the point guards took over. But now it's just I think centers are the most important because We see Jokic. We see Embiid. We see how much better the 76ers were there when Embiid was there. We see Wemby coming up. Like we see that. So when we talk about just importance to the Boston Celtics, Porzingis is the guy that I want to freaking prioritize over Jaylen Brown. Like Tatum is better than Jaylen Brown. Like that's why teams blitz him over Jaylen Brown. Because like they know Tatum is just does things more than Jaylen Brown. I'm not knocking Jaylen Brown this game. I'm just saying that's been the thing about me. It's like, yeah, Tatum has bad games, but it's like when he gets going, that's when the Celtics are at their best. And to be honest, they could have been even better this game. You know, defensively, they were very, very good this game. Like very, very damn good. Offensively, I mean, outside of the second half where they were kind of the first half, they were just so dominant, especially that first quarter. They were so dominant. 37 points in the first quarter is unacceptable for the Mavs, but like incredible for the Celtics. That's what you want, you know? And ever since then, they've been below 27 points in the rest of the three quarters. So it's like, that's the thing I can leave with the Mavs. It's like they made it an 8-point game. They were down by like 30 something, and they made it an 8-point game. So like, that's the thing to keep your head up high about going into game 2, because game 2 is going to be very, very big, you know? Who knows, man? Adjustments. This is one of my favorite things about the playoffs is just making these adjustments game to game to game to game, you know? And we've seen the Mavs do this. We've seen the Mavs lose game ones. I mean, they won games ones pretty much every single time. And the one exception game one they won, they were down by a ton of points and they came back when it was like late. So it's like, this is nothing new territory for them. They were down by 25 points against both the Clippers and the Oklahoma City Thunder on the road. So it's like, it's only game one. It's a feel out game, you know? I think Luka is still the best player in the series for sure. You know, he still had the best game in this. Like, I know Luka didn't have his best game. He was the best player on the floor still. Like, but it's like Daniel Gafford only played 14 minutes, 8 points. I mean, I think Derek Lively should get more minutes than him. He only played 18 minutes. Maxi Kleber, I mean, I saw the defensive matchups that they did. I mean, they put Derek Jones on Tatum. They've also put PJ Washington on Tatum at times. They put Maxi Kleber on Jaylen Brown, I saw. Porzingis was just getting his way like every single time in the first half. Like they put like everybody on. I mean, Luka Doncic, Derek Jones Jr., PJ Washington, Derek Lively. They put anybody on Porzingis. He just got his way over and over again. And this is the thing, I'm also going to give praise to Jason Tatum. I mean, Tatum just made the right read multiple times this game. Like, I got to praise him for that. Even though he did not score the ball pretty well this game, the right read was made by him over and over and over again. But it's like, this is going to be an interesting series, you know? This game wasn't very, very interesting in my opinion. I mean, I get it. The offense was not good and going, and like the Celtics were like up by 30 points and all that. But like, I did try to watch the game pretty much from beginning to end. I mean, I stopped when it went to pretty much garbage time. So it's like I had to start recording. But it's like, this should be a pretty interesting series. Couple adjustments I should make. Try to get Kyrie Irving to be more aggressive to start the game. I would say get Luka to set the tone. Because I feel like Luka has been being a lot more passive. Specifically, I think it was like this end of the first half. It's like we saw a more passive Luka Doncic than we saw against the Minnesota Timberwolves. And it's like, yeah, it's game one. You get a feel for game one. But it's like, to set a tempo, you need your best player to get going. And this is something that like I think Stephen A. Smith said, which I kind of agree with him about that, with the Boston Celtics side of things, getting Jason Tatum to get them going. But it's like, I mean, if everybody else is getting going, then that doesn't really matter. For like the Mavs side of things, outside of Luka, nobody else had a good game. So he has to set the tempo. Kyrie Irving has to be a lot better. I know you got to give credit to the defense. I mean, Jrue Holiday. I saw this one possession where like Kyrie Irving lost the ball like nothing. He's the greatest ball handler in NBA history. So, or dribbler, or I guess, but it's like Jrue Holiday, you got to give him credit for that. Derek White is Derek White. You know, he's been the most reliable role player for these guys all playoffs. So it's like, that's going to be tough. Jrue Holiday's been a lot better this playoffs than I thought he would be. I'll just say for the knock of the Celtics, it's just like I felt like after like when the third quarter happened, it's like they were settling for threes too much. I mean, Porzingis, Tatum, Brown, Drew Holiday. Sam Hauser had a pretty solid game. Peyton Pritchard had 0 points. But yeah, they settled for a lot of threes, I feel like, in the third quarter. But that's not really a knock. When you're up by that much, I understand because you also, I mean, you want to like keep up the freaking momentum, obviously. You want to keep up what's been your big success this whole game. So I understand that as a whole. But, you know, it's a lot. There's a couple adjustments I want to make this game. And it's going to be an interesting game too. So this is specifically, I just want to say, guys, this video will be specifically on Instagram for game one and YouTube and Spotify. Those three platforms. I now set on the MC Show Instagram page that this will be on all three platforms, major platforms. And then game two will also have the exact same thing. But after game two, it will be only Spotify and YouTube exclusive going forward. No Instagram content for the rest of the finals. It'll just be specifically YouTube and Spotify. And I might go live for game two. If this video gets a lot of success, I might go live for game two. And then I'll upload it on Spotify afterwards. But as of now, this is just going to go on Spotify. Couple things. I mean, the future of MC Show. I know I've been gone for a while. A lot of stuff happened. You know, it's not very bad, to be honest. Not bad stuff. I just was moving and I had to get settled in. And now my goal was to be back for the conference finals, but like I was still not ready for the conference finals. But like I'm glad to be back for the NBA finals. And unlike last year, where last year I stopped after game two, I'm actually gonna try to record for every single game, post-game coverage. So yeah, this is gonna be fun. There'll be a big MC Show podcast coming up in the future. I think after the NBA Finals ends, and a lot of updates to happen this summer because I'm actually gonna make some changes. I kind of like being a YouTube content creator, and I kind of miss that feeling. So like, expect something like that to happen. And expect a certain video-ish style to be like what I did about my Kobe Bryant tribute. Something similar to that. And I know I've announced this multiple times before, I think, but I really am committed to doing it now. And I feel like now is probably the right time for me to do it. So expect that to happen. And if you guys enjoy the setup, I mean, I enjoy the setup, you know, I kind of like this. I might try something different in the future, but like as of now, this might be the setup. Don't judge me with the jerseys I have in the background. You know, Curry jersey, my Orangeville Hawks rep jersey, and my Kobe Bryant jersey, the basketball hoop, the LED lights. Yeah, this is my room. It's a nice setup. Yeah. 2022, 2024 NBA Finals Game 1 has just ended. And I think game 2 will be more interesting to talk about, but this is like, I feel exhausted. I just had a very long day, and it's nice to just sit back and watch NBA Finals content. And it's nice that the next game is not until Sunday, because if it was just every other day, oh my God, that'd be stressful. Or like every single day. Ugh. But Friday, take the day off. Saturday, you know, NHL finals begin. I'm starting to get back to watching hockey. I mean, I've never watched hockey, but like I kind of want to watch it. I'm not going to cover it, obviously, because this is like, why would I cover hockey? Like, no offense to the sport. I think it's more interesting than I used to say it is, but it's like, basketball's like what I'm like talking about more. So, you know, it's just fun to watch. There's one thing I want to talk about as well. It's like the Caitlin Clark situation with the WNBA, because I've not really talked about this yet. The whole thing about it, just the whole thing about her, like the hatred she gets and all that, like, please stop. Like I agree. It's like, it's so stupid. Like the whole WNBA drama, I mean, is making WNBA interesting again. Like for the first time in a while, it's now like very interesting. And it's like, I'm actually tuning into watching games. I didn't watch the games today because the NBA Finals, obviously, but I could have watched them, to be honest, because I feel like they're more interesting than the NBA Finals. But it's like the whole thing about Caitlin, like Caitlin Clark is going to be your big success. Like, please stop. The whole thing about what's that one player on Chicago Sky who was just hating on her, and all of a sudden it's like, um, you got to back up your talk if you're just gonna like talk crap. You got to back up. You don't want to say, "Oh, I want to talk damn about Caitlin Clark." Like, yeah, you should. You pushed her. You flagrant fouled her. Like, I agree what Draymond Green said in his podcast where he was like talking about, "Oh, you have to back up your talk." Like, I do agree about that, and she should have done that, and she should have done that. But WNBA is actually very interesting. I mean, A'ja Wilson is probably the best player in the history of the WNBA, statistical wise, like the best player, not the greatest player. I mean, the best player because she's putting up NBA quality like type numbers, bro. Like literally superstar NBA numbers. It's like I know it's been like 8 games, something like that. But like, yo, that's very impressive what she's doing, And that does not get talked about enough because obviously the Caitlin Clark drama and like the Indiana Fever has not been playing very well. She's a rookie, she's a lot of pressure on her. Obviously, the big hinder I would say towards her is what LeBron James said. You need to have a lot of rest after a season just ends. And the fact that she transitioned straight to the WNBA after her college season is actually hindering her more than I thought. She's still like not playing terrible. Like she's have some good games, but it's like the rest is really hindering her. I mean, she's seen doubles, like she's seen Steph Curry type coverage. Like she's seen some crazy stuff that I've seen watching games. And it's like, it's very impressive how the WNBA is really like transitions to something like this. But it's like, you can't really knock her. Like she's 22 years old, youngling. But it's like, it's been very interesting watching this season. I'll tune into more women's basketball because it's actually very interesting to watch. And it's like, it's great to see the evolution of it. It's great to see just the sport of basketball just growing. Like people just hate. People like to hate. We live in a world where like there's a lot of misogyny, there's a lot of racism, there's a lot of homophobic and phobia, but it's like, it's still like in terms of women's sports, it's like the growth of it is just very, very like very, very good. Like even like what I'm trying to say is like the growth of women's sports, specifically basketball, is really, really fascinating to just witness. It's great. Like it's great to see a drama like this. It's great to see coverage of this from the WNBA. It's very great to see that while the NBA playoffs are going on. So it's like, it's very interesting. I mean, mind you, we have not had an NBA game since last Thursday. So like, the conference finals just ended a week ago, and then we had a week off until today. So it's like, yeah, I guess, but it's like, dude, that was covered. I mean, obviously NBA coverage would get more covered than the WNBA, but the fact that this is getting a lot of attention still, like over like 2 million views, that's very impressive. Towards what the WNBA was a year ago, where I tried to watch, but it wasn't that interesting. And now it is interesting. We've seen the best player in the world point up MVP quality numbers. We've seen a rookie get so much attention. Like, this is insane. She's really going to turn the WNBA like what Magic and Bird did to the NBA. So, she's going to be your big success. So stop doing this bullshit around. Like, stop doing this. It's really unnecessary. But yeah, man. One more thing. Rest in peace, Bill Walton. He died like a week ago. Rest in peace to him. One of the more fascinating players in NBA history to watch. And he seems like a funny guy on the broadcast. Like I personally enjoy listening to what he says on it. So it's like, it sucks that like you can't see that ever again, obviously. But it's like he really was a big presence to the NBA community, and it was very sad to see him go. But it's great that the Celtics honored him. It's great that. But yeah, rest in peace to him. And one more thing, I want to congratulate Doris Burke. I know a lot of people hate her. I personally do not mind Doris Burke. I think it's great for obviously the women's sports as a whole to see her broadcast be part of the broadcast team. This is the first woman in professional sports to broadcast a finals. So it's like, or like a World Series, something like that. So it's like it's really, really big to see this for women as a whole. So it's like congrats to her. And please stop being misogynistic, all you NBA Twitter haters out there. It's like, please stop. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this podcast, guys. 25 minutes was solid. But yeah, I'll be back for game 2. Probably go live on it on YouTube, but it's like, yeah. It's also game 1. We'll see you guys for game 2. We out.